Good morning.
Morning.
Hello, from the darkness of the abyss in Beaminster.
It's not darkness. I can see the sun coming in your window.
You can. I've turned it round a bit to try and get rid of it. Because if I close the curtains, it'll then go dark.
Yeah. Well, we want the light.
We like the
We
light.
talk about the light and seeing the light all the time.
We are people of the light.
We focus on the light.
Focus. That's it. Focus. Well, Chris, last week there was no Rev Chat because you were taking part in a golfing competition. For those who don't know golfing, dear viewer, that's where people spoil a good walk by chasing a little white ball around grass. Is that right, Chris?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Although there's no grass at the moment because it's all dead.
No. And can you tell us when did you finished in the Summit 3, didn't you? Top 3?
No. I finished 45 out of 48 competitors.
Well, there was obviously a tough field, Chris.
No, I was just rubbish.
You had
I enjoy the game because I enjoy it, not because I'm good at
Marvellous. Good.
You had trouble lining your balls up with the holes or something, Chris.
it. Now you're trying to dig me into trouble now.
Never would I do that, Christopher. You're too good a friend for that. However, you enjoyed the walk, you enjoyed the company, and was it a charitable event or something you were playing in?
No, it wasn't actually, because the charitable event, I had so many other things going on, I've had to miss most of those this year. Because they always do a big one for prostate cancer.
Yeah.
Because the majority of people that play are men. And they don't get screening.
Callie, would you like to make any comment on that statement?
What, the majority of golfers are men?
Yeah,
or the lack of screening for prostate cancer?
No, the majority of golfers are men. Did you have any comment? Because Joe would have jumped in by now, you said.
Well, I mean, how many years have golf clubs had rules about not admitting women?
Yeah,
well,
we do admit them, they choose not to.
I would have thought right from the very beginning of golfing days, I would have thought. Of course, in my game at the moment, the good cricket, they're heavily into whatever, and it's now a rule that you can't play in the Premier League of the Dorset League under ECB regulations unless you've got a complete women's cricket set up in your club, which is fantastic.
Well, I've got a daughter who plays rugby, so and I find myself conflicted about that because I go all protective mother when I think of Emily playing rugby and head injuries and everything else.
Yeah,
So,
it's the cauliflower ears you've got to be careful of in rugby.
It is, Chris. The woman who plays for England, keeps wicket for England, Amy Jones, who was a mere 12-year-old in a team I used to umpire up in Shropshire, and now she's England women's wicket keeper.
So there are plenty of sporty women out there.
There are lots and lots and lots of them, thankfully.
Not me, sadly, but
So there we are. So we're talking a little bit about nothing to do with sport today, but the infamous trust of God by walking on water.
We are. Shall I read?
Be a good idea, Chris. I can't see you, so read on.
I shall read on. So immediately Jesus made the disciples get into a boat and go on ahead to the other side, whilst he dismissed the crowds. After he had dismissed the crowds, he went up the mountain by himself to pray. When evening came, he was there alone, but by this time the boat, battered by the waves, was far from land, for the wind was against them. And early in the morning he came walking towards them on the lake. But when the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified, saying, "It's a ghost," and they cried out in fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them and said, "Take heart, it is I. Do not be afraid." Peter answered him, "Lord, if it's you, command me to come to you on the water." Jesus said, "Come." So Peter got out of the boat, started walking on the water, and came towards Jesus. But when he noticed the strong wind, he became frightened and began to sink. He cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him, saying to him, "You of little faith, why did you doubt?" When they got in the boat, the wind ceased, and those in the boat worshipped him, saying, Truly, you are the Son of God.
Well, there we are, Chris. I can put myself into Peter's place. There've been many times over my life I've cried out, "Lord, save me!"
I think I could echo that as well.
You know, and genuinely, you know, and including times in ministry. You
Yeah.
know, there are times when you know, we're confronted with all kinds of things, whether it be personal situations or work situations or situations on behalf of other people, where the only answer sometimes has been, "Lord, save me."
And in our own lives.
Yeah.
Frequently in our own lives.
Mm.
But there's something about, there's something very obvious here about doing things in your own strength or doing things in the strength of the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's when Peter keeps his eyes on Jesus that he's okay. And it's when he fails to do that that he sinks.
I think also the other big lesson, of course, is Peter actually gets out the boat.
Yes.
He'd have had no trouble at all if he sat in the boat. And I think the three of us probably echo the same, isn't it? If we stayed in our lives before ordination, or we stayed not bothering about Jesus, we wouldn't get out the boat. We wouldn't run ourselves into an awful lot of risk. But then, isn't that life like that for so many things? If you don't if you don't get out the boat and get on with it, you don't achieve anything.
So let's think about that for a bit. That's interesting, isn't it? So got this situation where the disciples are in the boat, terrified, and they see, you know, they're terrified already because of the storm, and then they see this, you know, well, Jesus, who could, you know, they wonder if Jesus is a ghost, and they're still fearful and terrified. And Jesus says, "Take heart, it is I, do not be afraid." Then it's Peter who says, "If it is you, command me to come to you on the water." And Jesus then obliges by saying, "Come." So it's Peter who he takes the initiative to ask God, to ask him to get out of the boat. And what's going on with Peter? Why does he want to get out of the boat? What's driving him to get out of the boat?
Is it just he wants to be part of Jesus? I mean, he was, you know, we know Jesus ended up calling him, "You are my rock." And he denied him. And it's, I want what you've got, Jesus. You're walking on water. I want that. That's probably too simplistic. And then you add into that little bit of doubt about, oh, is it really Jesus? If it's just you and we're part of you, well, I want the same. You can walk on water. Can I do it too?
So is it the walking on water or is it the peace? After.
I was going to say, it's typical Peter, isn't it? A sudden burst of enthusiasm, and he either opens his mouth and makes a mistake, or he takes some form of action, which turns out wrong. You know, "I'll never deny you, Lord." We know that. "I'll always be there for you, Lord."
Yeah, but in this instance, I think Jesus affirms Peter's action. Whereas you know, "Oh yeah, you'll stand up for me." "No, you won't. You'll deny me." You know, or even the building of the booths. You know, in the Transfiguration story, God makes it quite clear that you know, we're not having that.
But do you think that Peter has seen all these miracles and things happen, and they've all gone nicely, haven't they? You know, he's healed the lady who's bleeding, or he's turned water into wine, or he's created enough food to feed 5,000, as we read about last week. And here he is. Jesus said, "Come to me." The miracle is the sea is now a nice, hard, firm road, and I'll get straight there. But we know that life is not always a nice, straight, hard, firm road. There are bumps and holes and all kinds in it. And instead of just trusting, he then doubts.
I mean, it's a very helpful miracle for us.
It is.
It's a very helpful story.
In what way?
Just that that business of, yes, following Jesus, the invitation to come and follow Jesus, and when we take up that invitation, as David was describing, there are bumps along the way. There's, we notice. So in this instance, Peter notices the strong wind, becomes frightened by the strong wind, and literally loses his mojo. And there's the illustration of, so what does he do? He prays, Lord, save me, and Jesus saves him. I mean, it's a very practical prayer, isn't it? It's quite literally, Jesus reaches out his hand to grab him.
I think for me, what it's saying, Christianity, faith, is it's a relationship offered by God to us.
Mm.
And stepping out of the boat, in Peter's case, was another way of getting, to establish maybe that relationship, and that's fine. But you've got to trust, and you've got to trust in God, and believe that if He's promised whatever He's promised, it's going to happen. And halfway along the sea is not a very good time to suddenly change your mind when you can't get back to the boat, or you're not in reach of Jesus' hand. We've got to persevere, haven't we?
We have, but I mean, the boat wasn't exactly the most sort of happy, secure place either. One of the rules of sailing is that in that kind of seafaring is in that kind of situation, you stick with the boat unless the boat really is sinking fast.
Well, perhaps that's what Peter should have done then.
But I don't think the boat was a particularly happy place, in that they were all fearful disciples there. And actually, Jesus was, I liked your idea, what you said about, Peter wanting to be with Jesus, wanting what Jesus has got, but not necessarily wanting what Jesus has got so he could perform, impressive miracles. I think he wants Jesus' calm and Jesus' peace, and wants to be with Jesus, wants to walk toward. I think that instinct to walk towards Jesus is a healthy one.
Yeah.
And to get out of the boat where the panicking disciples are.
So why didn't the other disciples do the same, do you think?
Is that why Peter became the rock and the first pope?
Yeah, perhaps that should be a test before they choose a new pope. They take him out to a big Lake Missouri or something, and
in a storm.
In
a storm, and they've got to get out the boat and walk.
Give him if you can do it, you'll become pope. The first one,
but the modern ones would be very high tech, wouldn't they? They'd get one of these motorized surfboard things that sit they sit in about, what are they called?
Hoverboards, are they?
Hoverboards, yeah, and they sit about 2 inches below the water, don't they, or above?
Mm. Well, but again, you see, Jesus does like an ingenious trier, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he's put up with me for the past 60 odd years, so and I think I tried to be well, the dog doesn't agree, obviously. Hey, shut up. Thank you. Yeah, I've tried to be an ingenious try. It doesn't always work, but it didn't work for Peter either. He didn't have the hoverboard, Chris, but good idea.
But the big theme in this is calm faith, isn't it?
Yes.
The peace that comes from just having faith in Jesus, no matter what the noise and the wind and the the drowning that's going on.
What do you think was more impressive, though? The bit of that little walking narrative, or when Jesus got into the boat, the wind ceased, and the calm and the peace then arrived?
That's
when the calm happened, wasn't it?
Well, I think the storm and the calm is earlier as well, because the context of the reading doesn't this occur, if I remember correctly, fairly soon after John the Baptist?
Yeah, but it's immediately after last week's story that he's in the boat that he sat in to do whatever he did.
Yeah,
So,
beheading of John the Baptist, feeding of the 5,000.
so he's dismissed the crowds, and he's drained. Jesus on a human level is drained. He goes up to the mountain by himself to pray. He's there alone with his Father, re-resourcing himself in God. I mean, I know Jesus is God, but he took himself away to pray. And, so you've got this sense of sort of people pressing in on them, the crowds pressing in on them, and actually probably the authorities after them as well. So there's lots of stuff. There's lots of battering going on, battering by the waves, and lots of storm that they're in, I think, and winds against them and everything. And so the peace, I love, early in the morning he came walking towards them on the lake. That there's already peace there in the way, or at least the way I imagine it, Jesus kind of on the water. I can imagine him as this kind of great source of peace.
Yes.
And I think that would be very attractive. I can understand why you'd want to get out of the boat and head towards that peace. But, the reality of the world around you and
Isn't that something that we offer, though, almost week in, week out, in the storms of life? Come and rest in Jesus.
Well, exactly. That's what God offers.
Yeah.
That's the Christian message, isn't it?
Well, I mean, the message to all of us is that statement of Jesus. He takes Peter by the hand. You of little faith, why did you doubt?
And
we all do.
The Lord saves us.
It's natural. Yeah, our faith, spikes and drops, but the real question is, why did you doubt? I made you a promise. I'll care for you. I'll look after you. I'm not going to let you down.
To which the answer is, well, of course we doubt God. Have you seen the state of this world?
Well, the answer was, truly you are the Son of God.
But, the response to our doubts is, well, carry on having faith. Dig deeper in your faith.
Dig deeper.
But isn't the alternative even worse? Because the alternative of doubt is certainty.
Yes.
And certainty isn't very helpful in most situations.
Yeah, certainty can get us into all sorts of trouble.
Particularly if you're starting to sink in the water.
I'm certain I'm going to sink.
Ooh.
Or I'm certain I've got it right and I can do this in my own strength.
And I'm certain I'm not going to sink because I'm Peter and I've got my eyes on Jesus. Therefore, I will not sink. And you keep going until the water's above your head.
That's like that helicopter story, isn't it? Wasn't there some story about a flood and I can't remember how it all goes.
Don't worry, God will rescue me.
Yes, don't worry, God will rescue me. And there's a lifeboat that comes. No, God's going to rescue me, and it gets worse and worse and worse, and finally a helicopter.
And then he dies, and he says, "Why didn't you come and rescue me?" Well, I sent a lifeboat, I sent a helicopter, I sent another ship.
That's the one.
Yeah, it is very true.
Yeah.
About using life's resources.
Which is why, as I say, from a nautical point of view, you tend never get out of the boat unless it really is.
So that's why you're more Andrew and Thomas than Peter. I'm in a storm. I'm going to hang on to this boat no matter how hard the storm gets.
Right now, I definitely feel in ministerial life, I definitely feel very much like Peter. There are moments when I think, crikey, there's too much to do. I'm overwhelmed. And then that is the moment where you have to dig deep, pray hard. That's
when you have to wander off and do as Jesus did and be silent and pray, isn't it?
Exactly.
Because often there's no more you can do. Any of us can do. It's just a matter of having the courage to say, actually, I'm going to stop.
And do you find, obviously you always say your morning prayer impeccably. So it will only be me who will admit this, that if there are moments when I'm distracted or I don't do morning prayer properly or, God forbid, even at all, the day goes horribly pear-shaped. Whereas if you take the time to do the prayers first and you really, discipline with yourself about, now, hang on a moment, I'm not concentrating on this, slow down, pray, our days go so much better. It's extraordinary
but then
what the correlation is.
just go back to the start of Matthew 14, the beheading of John the Baptist. Jesus went to a quiet place to be on his own.
On his own,
to grieve and to pray. And 5,000 men, plus another 5,000 women, plus another few thousand children arrived. And the disciples said, look, you want to be on your own, but they are hungry. So he couldn't do his prayers that day. He had to do the work. And then he did the work and, he told the disciples to feed them. Don't forget that bit. He didn't do the feeding. He told the disciples to do it. And then when they were full, he tried again to go away and be quiet. But then he had to go and rescue his disciples because they were out in a boat in a storm. So, I think there's a bit of reality of life there, even in Jesus.
Yeah. I think that's
not sitting down at 8:28 every day for 20 minutes worth of prayers, etc. So there are times when life gets in the way of what we think we would like to do.
But there's still refreshment and resourcing in prayer so much right in the midst of those stories. The feeding of the 5,000, they stopped and shared a meal together, and I don't know, I just think somewhere along the line, that persistence in prayer, that there's definitely that peaceful communion with God right at the heart of, even in the busyness, which is extraordinary.
Yes. Is the answer.
That's the second time you've just answered Callie with yes, David, in this past 10 minutes.
It is, you're quite right, because it's very difficult when you're trying to take cues and not jump in, when you can't see anybody, and you try not to jump in while they're talking.
We can see you see, so the viewers won't be aware of this. David can't see us.
No, I can't see them at all, not at all. It's actually been quite enlivening. But I think the problem is this thing about being prayer. We are, of course, told that while we're doing prayers, we're actually praying for all those others in our community. That's what we're praying for, as opposed to just praying for ourselves and for other people. And I actually think that sometimes it's useful to pray, as Peter could have done while he was stepping out of the boat rather stupidly, as you've told us, Callie, because he should have stayed where he was. And if he'd have perhaps prayed a bit harder as he walked along, he may have found the task a little less frightening, although I think the end result would have been the same had Jesus not grabbed him by the hand and said, "Why are you doubting?" And presumably, Peter could, if he was a fisherman, he presumably would be able to swim, one would hope.
Well, maybe. I'm not sure. There are amazing stories of seafarers who don't swim.
I've got a church warden who used to be a very big seafarer for his whole career.
Really?
And he says, "No, I don't swim," he goes, "My whole life as captain of a ship was a matter of keeping myself out of the water."
Yes.
Well, that is very, very good and a good thing to do. But there we are. So, dear viewer, don't doubt. Hold on to the hand of Jesus, and he will guide you. And if your boat is sinking, ring for Callie, and she will come speedily with her hoverboard with the Pope and will rescue you. Is that a good summarization there, Chris?
I think that's brilliant. Yes. Otherwise,
you draw those conclusions out of our. Oh, wonderful.
Although we ought to end with a spiritual note of just turn your eyes upon Jesus and the things of earth will grow strangely dim in the light of his glory and grace.
Yeah.
Marvellous. Thank you for some good hymn words to come to our rescue.
When it comes to prayer and whatever, I always remember my good friend and your former vicar before you a few years ago, old Gregory Page Turner. When I first came here, and he joined me every morning for morning prayer, which was lovely. And we got to one of the days where we had a choice of the Psalm, whatever it was, with its 73 verses, or a shorter one. And I said, I think we'll go for this one, the second choice. And he said, no, David, we should say the first one. It's discipline.
Oh.
Discipline. I get reminded of that in my parish quite frequently. Gregory Page Turner, discipline, dear boy.
Yeah, discipline. That's right.
And it's good that we've got an esteemed rural dean to keep us disciplined.
And you're very lucky. You believe me, Callie. It could be a lot worse. You could be like sheep without a shepherd, wandering aimlessly around Bridport, which you may do for all I know.
Frequently.
However, I'm looking forward to you racing along on your hoverboard with the Pope, and that'll set me up for the week. I shall tell people in Beaminster Church on Sunday, you'll be saved by Callie on her hoverboard.
I've never tried a hoverboard, but I'm definitely excited by the idea now. Yeah, exactly. Is that what it feels like to walk on?
There we are. No,
we've got Come and See this weekend, which is very exciting.
Sorry?
Come and See this weekend. So in St John's West Bay, we've got our annual Come and See weekend. Lots of activities and craft and everything else.
Because last weekend was West Bay Day, wasn't it? Or weekend?
West Bay days, yes. Very busy down in West Bay these days.
Which must have been quite sad without Philip, because he was a great supporter of West Bay Day, wasn't he?
I'm sure it was sad without Philip, but yeah.
And we had a very busy fete on Saturday.
Oh, good.
And you had a wedding, didn't you, Chris?
No, that was the week before and the week before and the week before. And next week.
Because our esteemed colleague in the Bride Valley, he's got a very big fete because it's the annual
fete today.
Fete on his garden, isn't it, today?
And that's today. So good luck, Andrew. Hope all goes well.
Yeah.
Brilliant. That's midweek.
Yes, Burton Bradstock fate's midweek.
Always is. It'll be absolutely crowded and crammed out because it's holiday makers. They love it. It's people come back on holiday just to go to the Burton Bradstock fete, I'm told.
Excellent. Good.
So there we are. So get your paddling board there, dear viewer. Get your rubber rings just to keep you up, or keep an eye out for Callie and the Pope. All will be well. You will be saved. Hallelujah. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.